Well, hello, 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 and welcome to Soul Tech with Cynthia. I'm your host, Miss Elliott, and I'm so delighted that you're here. If you haven't already subscribed to the show, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because you're going to love this intelligent listening to tickle your little gray cells. Anyway, for today's episode, I am doing a solo episode, which I do every once in a while, and this in particular is one of my very popular types of episodes where I share my predictions for the near future. I think it's number two in my most popular episodes ever was the prediction episode that I did in January about what was coming down the pipeline for space and space pirates and all of that good stuff. So go listen to that episode if you like predictions, because most of them are within the 3 to 5 to 10 years, and so they're still very relevant. Anyway, I've got some notes here because I had a lot of downloads. I've enhanced my meditation practice this year, and it's really helping with my downloads. So I'm going to be referring to my notes, if you don't mind, just to make sure I stay on topic. Anyway, we're going to be covering a lot of different industries and a lot of different trends. So I think you're going to really enjoy this. We're going to start off with a topic that, of course, we're all talking about, and that's artificial intelligence and technology and some of the changes that I foresee coming in the next few years. Um, uh, I mean, obviously, we're in the fourth industrial revolution. We are knee deep in the age of AI. And so this is an incredibly relevant conversation. First on my list is physical AI integration and dependence. In the last predictions, I talked about body modification becoming a big trend. And that is like, today we do tattoos and piercings, but technology is going to carry body modification into the, fantastical realms where we'll be able to have, billboards within our skin where we can constantly change the tattoo. Um, and of course, all sorts of incredible technologies, to show off what we think, believe, and feel about life and our world in ways in which we've never had before. But this is also this physical enhancement is going to move over into beauty. So we see a lot of plastic surgery as it is right now, but artificial intelligence is going to take this to the next level where we're going to be able to really hone in and craft and curate whatever look we're really going for in ways we never have been able to before. So expect the beauty world to really go off the charts. Having said that, I do think that that ability is actually going to also have a camp of people that are really focused on being natural. Um, anyway, the biggest piece of this physical AI integration is going to be us integrating artificial intelligence and technology into our physical being to help us live our best life. And whether you believe that's going to be true or not, for many people it will be. Having a built-in assistance, and we're getting tastes of this. Like our cell phone is obviously this close to being physically integrated. If you've ever hung out with somebody who can't put their phone down, but we're going to be having things like the types of experiences you have with like meta glasses or that you're seeing with the brain implants that they're already experimenting with that are allowing people to communicate in their mind with artificial intelligence to give it instructions. I mean, that's going to go just to the next level. We're going to be curing a lot of things. We're going to be able to know way more about our physical body and our momentary experience than we ever have before because the technology that we put inside of ourselves, whether it goes in our brain or some other part of our body, will not only be able to act like a life assistant, but it's going to be able to monitor your health and different aspects of your physical being, and I believe eventually our energy body and spiritual world, life and world in ways that we've never seen before. Having said that, we are going to have a lot of people who become incredibly dependent on artificial intelligence, and we're going to have rehabs, if you will, eventually to help people break from their dependence on technology. So that's number one on my list of predictions for AI and technology. Second on my list is AI and robot relationships. For many people, will replace human relationships, as it is. A lot of people don't even like to commune with other people because they find it exhausting or they just don't care anymore. And some people just are lonely and so the AI robot, humanoid, particularly humanoid robots, particularly sexual related humanoid robots will offer solutions to a lot of people in terms of their everyday daily life, but it's also going to become like a codependent relationship. And I think for some, it's going to become so challenging that they're going to struggle to have human relationships anymore. And this will eventually, particularly the sexual robots, this is going to actually affect the birth rate and marriage rate even more. And so I expect we're going to be having a lot of conversations in the near future, probably 3 to 5 years, uh, uh, up to 10 years out of us talking about the issues that people's dependence on AI relationships and humanoid robots is creating. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Next on my list is also related to humanoid robots. They have been working on robots that can have gestation with babies, and I think they're doing that either to cut women out of the equation or because they want to be able to control their future populations of humans. And I have a lot of thoughts on this. This is not the episode for that. I definitely talked about it with Billy Dees on the Billy Dees podcast a few months back, and it was an interesting conversation. Um, I think this is going to bring to light real serious conversations and understanding of what happens when you remove the mother-child bond while the child is in the womb. Um, I think that's actually a huge problem. I think it relates to spirit and consciousness and things that we don't quite understand right now. But that's going to cause issues. Also, the whole idea that you can do robot gestation, where a robot does all the work for you, fits right into like a puzzle piece with designer babies. And so not only will we have the conversation about cut it, what happens when you cut the mother out of the process for robot gestation of babies, but because people will be able to pick skin, hair, and eye color and things like that, it's going to bring conversations about racism, sexism, and all those isms to the surface. So it should be interesting. Whenever we have new technology, new developments, there's always somebody who takes it to extremes or some people who take it to extremes, and it forces conversations that we need to be having. So that's all super interesting. And this topic of the age of AI leads me into the next topic on my list, which is more cultural. We already have a massive mental health crisis across the globe. A lot of factors have kind of come together that are causing the mental health crisis to go off the charts. I think technology, social media, things like corn, OnlyFans, dating apps, um, and algorithms being programmed to manipulate people or to keep them in fear, are coming together with a drop in religion. And whether you like religion or not, I mean, we could say a lot of things about the bad things that religion has done to the world, but in many ways, it created a framework for people to exist within. So they knew, they had a list of do this, don't do that, and it gave structure. And we've had 4,000 churches closed in the last, I think it's 10 years, something like that, just here in the United States. And whether you appreciate religion or not, it did put people in touch with their spiritual side, and in many ways it gave them hope. And so when you see a collapse of that, and you see the mass media manipulation, the psyops, the gaslighting that's going on, and corporations showing us what they're really made of, and the job losses that we've had across the planet because of artificial intelligence and also corporate greed, it's kind of this perfect storm that has caused the mental health crisis to go off the charts. And it's expected. And just to give you an example, young people under 15 to 29 have seen a 30% plus increase in mental health issues, but also in self-harm, 30% increase, which is insane. And I say all of this to say that our mental health crisis is actually going to get worse because of this incredible moment in human history with the technology that is unfolding. We are undergoing and about to see, not just visually, but through social media, through our experiences, through every industry that we deal with, more change at a pace that we're just not built to handle. And when you combine that with changing industries and uh, sort of pulling the rug out from underneath people who had a vision for how they were going to be able to be successful in life, and now that entire framework has changed, and since most of us find our purpose through what we do for a living, and then that all changes, we've got a lot of people who are lost without purpose, without framework for love and self-love and hope. And it's going to cause a massive increase in our mental health crisis, which will brings me to one of the reasons why I founded the Soltech Foundation is that it's my belief that as this takes hold, we will see a massive increase in people who are not only seeking out community, but they're seeking out ways in which to learn how to navigate these dramatically changing times with healthy perspective, regardless of their circumstances. Because a lot of people's circumstances have changed in the last 5, 6 years, and a lot of them are going to change in the next 5, 10, 20 years. And so one of the reasons that I founded the Soul Tech Foundation and wrote the book Soul Tech, which is coming out in October, is because the whole purpose of that work is to create community and to teach people through educational programs, through events, and through media how to get command of their lived experience, how to raise their human consciousness. And these are all going to be huge trends that we see caused by the mental health crisis and also just the age of AI and the rapid transformation. People will seek out ways in which to command their human capacity so that they can thrive in this new world that we live in. So if you want to learn about the work that I do in the Soul Tech Foundation, go join the movement. The Soul Tech movement kicks off October 28th at the Her Health Summit, which is when my book drops and the courses drop and all that stuff. So go check that out at soultechfoundation.org. Anyway, that brings me to my next prediction. Some of the human capacities that I believe are going to become things that people will enhance are ones that we have historically laughed at because we couldn't find proof that they existed. I'm referring to those pesky little things like energy bodies, psychic abilities, telepathy, and all of those. The clair abilities that you hear talked about in the New Age community. And of course, as a New Age Christian mystic, not only do I use a lot of those capabilities, I talk about them quite a bit. Technology, artificial intelligence is going to allow us to actually see that those capabilities are perfectly natural. And they've always been perfectly natural. They were demonized by people who wanted to get control of humanity and didn't want you to see yourself as a divine being that has incredible magical capabilities. But artificial intelligence is going to help us be able to see and measure that in ways that will convince millions of people all over the planet that these things are real. I mean, come on, you guys. They can move artificial intelligence technology can move a dream from one person's mind to another person's mind. We already have technology where the person can think an order and the computer understands what they're saying. We can plant ideas into people's minds. Like we created the technology that can work magic, yet we still struggle to understand that we're magical ourselves. So um, I think that this ties a lot with me talking about the Soul Tech Foundation because I 100% believe, and I just wrote about this in my Substack, that humanity for the last few thousand years has been trying to shift from Homo sapien to Homo luminous, which is the enlightened being. We just had a lot of crap get in the way along our incredible path. Jesus, Buddha, if you look at the lessons that they taught about the state of, we'll just say Christ consciousness, which is the luminous ability. This all has been something that we've been trying to move towards for a really long time. And I think with artificial intelligence taking a lot of the work out of a lot of our lived experience, we're going to have more time to actually focus on enhancing these. And with the proof that these capabilities are actually real, we're going to see a big trend in the future of people practicing their psychic abilities, their telepathy, their working with their energy body and all of that. Anyway, so yes, psychic abilities are going to become normalized because of technology. Wild. Probably didn't see that one coming. And then another one on my predictions list, which I think is actually really cool. So I get a lot of downloads from my spirit guides. I talk about it all the time. I've been getting these my entire life since I was a young girl. Um, and if you think that's crazy, you probably don't want to watch the rest of my episodes because I'm very blunt and open-minded and speak openly about a lot of the crazier experiences I've had. But one of the downloads that I have had for years now was that water is more than what we think it is, and we will actually begin to understand this in the near future because technology is going to allow us the tools to measure things in ways in which we haven't been able to historically. I believe water works like an Akashic records that it holds past, present, future within its body. It remembers everything. Now, there's Dr. Emoto. If you've never checked out Dr. Emoto's experiments, I highly recommend it. Dr. Emoto's work was fascinating, although there's some back and forth about whether or not that was ever they were ever able to really duplicate his work. Regardless, it did highlight this conversation around the magic of water. And I believe that there's a reason why beings that utilize more water have more complexity of thought and experience. I think those two things go hand in hand. So when we look at trees, water, we look at animals in the ocean, water, animals on the planet, water. When we get into the desert, a lot less water, and I think a lot different level of consciousness. So this is going to be super interesting to me when we start to see a lot of this information come out. Talk about a mental health crisis. When you start telling people that water has memory, they're going to be like, "What?" Anyway, next on my list is that it's in the same realm. Is that we will begin to understand consciousness more. Now, I'm in of the belief that consciousness, that all things are conscious, have some level of consciousness. I believe that the depth of the level of consciousness or the capability for the depth of the level of consciousness actually relates to the sun and the water. But we've not really been able to understand it in the past. Now, if you look up the different definitions of what people believe consciousness might be, I think the one that comes closest, or the ones that come the closest, are a combination of panpsychism and integrated information theory. But that's to say that all things have some level of consciousness in them, and the level of information that can be integrated dictates the level of consciousness. We're going to be able to understand a lot more of that and hone in on what the definition of consciousness is in the very near future. I would probably put it at 3 years, on the outside, 5 years, if not sooner. I mean, the technological developments are happening at such a rapid pace that even I'm having to make adjustments to my timelines because in my lifetime, we've never moved so quickly. But anyway, so we're going to understand more about consciousness, which I think is really cool. It's going to help us really shift into that next level of consciousness, that homo luminosity, because we're going to see it and understand it and be able to measure it in ways we haven't before. And let's be honest, a lot of the reasons why we make fun of some of the beliefs in the new age is simply because science hasn't caught up with a way to measure it. And that's why we look at it as magical. But, if you had taken a cell phone back 1,000 years ago and showed it to people, they would think you were a demon. So, anyway, next on my list of predictions is that we're going to have three camps within the coming years. There are the people who go all in, and this is in three camps of human beings, and particularly here in a modernized place like the West, in America, we'll have the people who go all in on technology. I mean, like all in, like they're wearing it, they've got it in their bodies, their homes are all technology. They just live almost in a world that doesn't really exist. And then we're going to have on the opposite end of that people who go back to living like our ancestors did, or like the Quakers do, where they're sans technology as much as humanly possible. They live off of the land. We'll see communities of like that grow, of people who just don't want to live in that super modern tech driven world. And then the most of us are going to fall somewhere in the middle, where we might have a robot in the house, but we tend the garden in the back, that kind of thing, where you use it, but you also don't have it do certain things that are really good for you in your development, or that you enjoy. So yeah, three camps are coming. We're already kind of there, but it'll get even more dramatic and noticeable. And then the last one on my list is that I believe in the future we will look back and see that the closures that happened a few years ago um, were a necessary, and obviously forgive me for those who had severe issues that happened during that. This isn't about the drama or the sadness or the painful parts of what happened. This is specifically about just this moment in history where in the modern world we had never just stopped, and the world just stood still for a few years. And we will eventually look back and understand that this time of the world being frozen um, was a necessary moment in human history, because we needed to shift into higher consciousness. We needed to have millions of people on the planet wake up and begin to see the world that we live in, the matrix that we live in, the lies, the deception, the fear-driven narrative that was being used by the powers that be, by mass media, by social media, by very influential, powerful people to control us. And we needed that because if we did not have that time of us standing still and those tens of millions, and I've actually asked AI about this, was it my imagination that tens of millions of people woke up all across the planet when the closures happened? And it said, no, 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 that's not your imagination. You can see it in the searches, the Google searches and things like that. We needed tens of millions of people all over the planet to wake up and see what was really going on. Because without that change, we were definitely headed towards a future that looked apocalyptic. And it still has its moments, and we're going to have some wild experiences, some things that will be very painful and very hurtful for us to look at because of our race towards technology. You can't stop that race because there are two the world is in such a precarious place if the good people don't actually win that AI race that we don't really have a choice about it. But we will have some hard lessons that way. But I do believe that in the future, when we understand more about consciousness and the collective consciousness of humanity across the planet, we will understand that through whatever forces, be that God source, the collective bringing the planet to a halt, we turned a very sad time of great challenge into um, uh, a wonderful evolution for human beings. And we needed that because the more people that we have awake, the more people that will demand that we command artificial intelligence and it doesn't actually tell us how to live. Anyway, those are some of my predictions. That was a little bit longer than what I was expected to go on, but hopefully you enjoyed that. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments. If you disagree, agree, you have your own ideas, please share them. We're all capable of getting downloads from the universe. We're all capable of recognizing patterns and being able to predict things. So tap into your inner self and share what you see in the comments. And again, if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. A little wrapping up for business. Thank you so much, by the way, to all the followers. We got 15,000 new followers in the last 30 days, which has been pretty wild, and I really appreciate it. So thank you for that. Hopefully we keep you coming back for more with our content. If you are in the South Florida area, I am the keynote speaker and host for the Her Health Summit, which is happening on October 28th. It's hundreds of women and male allies coming together to talk about women's health across mind, body, and spirit. We have 20 plus speakers, workshops, panels, all happening on October 28th at Meisner Studio. You can find out more about it on my website, cynthiaelliott.com. And of course, on my website, as well as the soultechfoundation.org website, you can sign up to join the Soul Tech movement. Help me carry this message forward because I really believe that if we help as many people as possible shift from Homo sapien to Homo luminous, we could actually really build a world in the age of AI that is quite spectacular. Anyway, I'm sending you love from my heart to yours and wishing you the most amazing week. Bye.